People's people. Randall J here with some more coherent drivel. You know, somebody just asked me a good question. You know, I got my popcorn universe theory, and you might have to look at some other videos. But said, well, if all the black holes come together and into a super massive black hole and collect everything in the universe that way. And then the popcorn theory is that at some point fusion occurs and there's these blasts that come out, right? Boom, boom, boom. They're like, well, how does anything escape such a supermassive black hole's gravity? And that's a good question. And how do you answer that? How I answer that is you gotta do scale, like nature is repetitive, right? Nature, where you see nature in one place, you see it acting in a similar way in another place. These things like what's that called? The spiral patterns. Man, I forget. The golden ratio, right? The golden ratio is in spiral patterns, and it's everywhere in plants and seashells and stuff like that. Lots of things in nature are repetitive. And just like when we look at the sun and stars, and they have solar flares, okay, and the sun's not that hot, I forget. It's only like 10,000 degrees or 10 million degrees. I forget. Okay, I forget. But that's a really small number compared to what we're talking about. We're talking about a high enough temperature to cause fusion. Like, now we have they're working on the cold fusion reactors, and I think they're up to like 200, 300 million degrees to do what they call cold fusion, right? I mean, so we're talking extreme temperatures. And we're talking about the popcorn coming off of there. Think of a solar flare. Similar to that process. Only this would be a fusion flare, and each one of these pops is the size of a galaxy. So, I mean, we can't even, our brains can't even wrap around that. I mean, it's really... So, I think on that kind of scale, it might be able to escape the gravity, And I guess that's iffy. I mean, but it's a theory. It's a pretty good theory. It's a possibility. I mean, see it all. My best theory, the one I really like, is my exponential gravity theory, where stuff falling into a black hole, when it comes apart, the neutrons all by themselves weigh more, like the marshmallow. You throw a marshmallow in, and when it comes all apart, the neutrons of the marshmallow weigh more than the whole marshmallow. Now, okay, if that's stupid, I give up. But if that's real, then everything else I'm talking about has possibility, real possibility, I think. Yeah. So, getting out of that kind of gravity is a problem, but it'll be similar to a solar flare, only it'll be a fusion, some sort of fusion flare, the size of a galaxy, each one, And we know there's like, a trillion galaxies or something, a couple trillion galaxies. So this is, it's hard to imagine. But so far, that's what I imagine. anyway, that's how I answer the question of how could it possibly escape the gravity. Well, a fusion flare as big as a galaxy is pretty powerful. Could be pretty powerful. It might be powerful enough to escape that kind of gravity. And if it can't, well, I'll have to think of a whole new theory. I mean, the whole thing could explode at the same time, like the Big Bang Theory. But instead of coming from a singularity, it comes from this massive neutron star, which is the black hole. And if it all blew up at the same time, and then fusion would occur, but see, those neutron chunks would go out. I'm not sure how they would, how there'd be enough heat to, and maybe there would be enough heat to cause some fusion as it was coming apart, and that would be the expansion, and then those chunks, there'd still be some chunks, like some neutron chunks, and they could all end up being the center of the black hole of the future galaxies. I mean, I kind of like that too. But what would cause the whole thing to blow up all at once? See, that's a problem. I'm not. I think the popcorn theory makes more sense off the top of my head. Of course, I will be thinking about this further, but yeah, I think the popcorn thing makes more sense. Even though, of course, it's all very, very theoretical and perhaps nonsense. I'm right there saying perhaps nonsense, but if it's real, I want the Nobel Prize, all right? Okay. Like, share, subscribe. Keep on keeping on.